Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 85 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on YouTube and in most places podcasts can be found. As always, I'm your host, Erroll Moss, and with me is my co-host, the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey, hey.
And a little bit of housekeeping there. There is a new Pokemon Snap video up where I play with my buddy Andrew, and we go through the volcano for the first time, as well as the shrunken portion of the first level, where it shrinks you down. Fun times. As a reminder, he has never ever played a Pokemon game before, so he has quite some interesting reactions.
Were there any
different types of Pokemon?
Were there any you were expecting, or were you pleasantly surprised? I
hadn't played those levels yet either.
Oh, okay.
But I told him, I said, because in the volcano level it starts with Altaria and some hot springs, and I was like, "You see that thing?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's a dragon." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a dragon." But yeah. Anyway, we're gonna get right into the Japanese games we've been playing. I played Neo: The World Ends With You for like maybe 5 minutes. I did like a few battles, and I was like, I don't feel like playing this, so I haven't really gotten into that yet.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I think it's because I've been playing a lot of Western games. I've been playing a lot of Aliens, Fireteam Elite, and then doing some of those new Blood Money missions in Red Dead Online. I think that's why I haven't really been playing that much. But I have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links still.
Okay.
So what I figured out is that after level 20, it gets like a lot harder to get experience unless you're doing ranked duels, and I don't really do ranked duels. So I switched to the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX world and started playing as Jade and Yuki, the main character of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And the thing is, their decks aren't good until you get enough gems to buy like one of their little booster decks from the shop.
Okay.
And it takes a while to get gems, so you're gonna have to use a deck, like a pre-made deck, for a little while until you can make a good enough deck that goes along with their skills.
I see.
So Jaden has more of his elemental hero deck now, and it's pretty fun to use. And then I started doing the 5Ds campaign with Yusei, and his deck, I just got the lower rank not the lower rank version, but like the improved version, like the first version of his deck, because there's always like a first version that's like 500 gems that improves things a little bit, and then there's an even better version that's like 1,000 gems, I think, for each character, each protagonist at least. So I've just been using him, and it's been a lot more of a challenge. Like, I've lost quite a few times. And sometimes I just like putting on auto duel to see what the computer does, because you can also auto build decks, so you can see good strategies that way.
Okay, cool. So, did you by any chance...
I'm mostly just waiting for Master Duel to come out right now.
did you by any chance see a tweet going around talking about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Predicted the rise of esports, and how GX is basically how esports became like an academic route? Right.
And 5Ds is post-apocalyptic, and it looks like that's where we're heading.
I mean, it's not wrong.
But the thing about 5Ds is it's only one city. It's not the entire world. I think people seem to forget that.
Oh, well.
But then that means after 5Ds, we all have scouters to see AR duel monsters and play Yu-Gi-Oh! So,
well,
there's that.
A lot to look forward to.
And then the world separates into 5 different dimensions.
I don't think I'm ready for that one.
No, there will be 5 of you. One for each world.
Listen, after having seen the last episode of What If, I kind of had enough of multiversal shenanigans.
No, all the multiversal shenanigans. And then earlier today, I was doing the Monster Hunter Stories 2 DLC, which has Orochi Kirin, Elder Frost Gammoth, and Soul Seer Mitsuzune. Gammoth is one of my favorite monsters. So I tried to get the Elder Frost Gammoth twice doing online co-op. Got killed both times. And I said, you know what? I'll try the Soul Seer Mitsuzune. So I did that online co-op. Got killed.
Oh no.
So I'm like, well, I have the Orochi Kirin quest in single player. So, I wonder how that'll go. And it was going pretty well until I died.
Oh no.
So I just need to I think I just need to level up my monsters and upgrade my armor and stuff, because I've been taking a lot of damage. So I think I just really need to improve a lot of stuff. Level up a bit. Because these people I was playing with were like level 80 and I'm still level 50.
In the past months?
I mean, I still enjoy it, but I haven't been playing it as much as I was before. I've just been waiting for the stuff to come out to see if I can get... I need to also account for weaknesses, elemental weaknesses a lot more. So I need to train a couple of my monsties. But otherwise, yeah, it's still good.
Okay.
And otherwise, like I said, I haven't been playing much else in terms of Japanese games right now. Even though I have plenty on my backlog.
That is true.
So you've been playing more Judgment, I see?
Yeah, I finished it. Yesterday or the day before yesterday. For about like 45 hours, if I'm not mistaken. It's really...
I think that's the first time one of us has finished a game in a while on the podcast.
Well, that's not true. Like, you finished Monster Hunter Stories, and I finished...
Oh, I finished Monster Hunter Stories. That's true. You're right.
You've also finished...
You're right.
Scarlet Nexus, I think. So yeah.
Yes.
I finished Judgment. It's a really good game. It's like one of the best stories in video games, I think. And like, I was pretty down.
So you say you have a very good judgment of it?
That one needs work, but okay. Like I was pretty down on it in the beginning because I tweeted it out and I said it wasn't feeling as tight as the other Yakuza games. Like, the combat was kind of the tailing missions are tedious, so it didn't feel as much of a detective game as it could be. But having that said, the story does a lot of the heavy lifting, and the characters are all around great, and it nails that aspect so well, and it's such a good story. Like, there are two moments in the game near the end where you have this kind of how do I say this, like kind of like the on your left moment from Avengers Endgame, or the gang's all here kind of moment, and it just really cemented my feelings for the game. And I'm like, oh my god, this is such a good time. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really riding this high, and I really, really, really want to see this through, and I did. And yeah, it's great, and I can't wait to see how Lost Judgment picks up and how that story develops, and if possible, if that's like just the second part, or if it will be like a very definitive conclusion, considering the news we got this week and considering the drama they've been going through behind the scenes. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, it's a really good game, and I highly recommend it. The gross romance bits can be avoided and ignored. So if that's not up your alley, don't feel pressured to go down that alley. So yeah, that's Judgment in a nutshell. And I've also just started Asura's Wrath today.
Interactive anime.
Yes, kind of, very much. Yes and no.
I watched my friend play it back in college.
Like, it definitely is presented as an anime, and the game levels or chapters are also presented as anime episodes, complete with mid commercial break interstitials, and even has a previously on and not previously on, like on the next episode, that kind of small preview at the end of every episode. It's really cool, and it's a gorgeous game, and it's so cool and so different to have semi-religious text be presented as science fiction, like a grand space opera. And it's like it makes so much sense, but it's also like this isn't done often that it feels fresh enough. Like the only other instance I can think of is like the Thor comics from Marvel or the movies, where you take an old religion and make it sci-fi. It's like something like that, and it's so weird and cool, and I think it's something everyone should experience at least once.
Yeah, for sure.
I've also read about it a bit, and one of the producers mentioned that he kind of considers it the spiritual sequel to God Hand. So there's definitely some of that pedigree in this game.
Yeah, I say it's a little more serious than God Hand. In certain ways.
In certain ways, yes. And in other ways, it's pretty much that kind of tone you can expect. But yeah, it's a very, very wild game.
Wasn't there like a rumored sequel a while back, but then it turned out like that was not a thing or something? I don't know.
That I can remember. And I don't think... I haven't gotten to the end of the game yet, but I'm guessing there's some finality to it that would probably not indicate a sequel would be incoming.
Now, do you have the Street Fighter DLC for it?
No, so it was on sale on the Xbox store like a few months ago, like I think for $3 or something. But that was without the DLC.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And I also read about how the final chapter for the game is also locked behind DLC, which is a very gross thing. Like,
that I did not know.
Why? Well, not the final ending, more like the true ending is locked behind DLC. And I really, really hope that never comes back again, like as a practice. I remember playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and like one of the biggest plot points of the game is only in the DLC, and you're left with an incoherent end to a story that makes no sense. Like, okay, you're forcing me to go through the story, but then at the end you're like, oh, psych, it's a different ending. For the full ending, pay us $5, which is not great. Yeah, so it's kind of like, what was it again? What movie was... It's kind of like Rise of Skywalker, or like the whole sequel trilogy. Like, they have this whole story planned out, but if you want to have the complete picture, you have to buy the books, the comics, the toys with the descriptions. Right. Like, so you're telling me I have to pay a movie ticket, sit 3 hours to watch a movie, and then pay you for a DLC that gives me the rest of the story. Like, gross.
I don't know about that.
Really gross.
Well, maybe we'll get Asura's Wrath Definitive Edition someday.
Your puns need work today, man.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, okay.
It's a passing grade, at least.
Well, depends, but all right, so next up we have the In From Japan J-List, recent video game related entertainment news. We only have one piece of... Well, there was a Resident Evil thing. I think it was it a trailer?
No, it was the images from the upcoming movie /series.
I think it's a series. Isn't it? I always get confused. But yeah, okay.
I'm not confident in saying it's either one or the other.
Yeah, I was not. But anyways, what we have on here is Pokemon Evolutions anime series being made by OLM Studios. This is by Jenni Lada for Siliconera. Another short Pokemon anime web series called Pokemon Evolutions is on the way, and it's being made by a studio well acquainted with the series. OLM worked on the show, the first episode of which will appear online on September 9th, 2021. People will be able to catch the show both via Pokemon TV, which now is a Switch app, and YouTube. As this is a celebratory series for the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, each episode will be a short look at something happening in one of the existing regions. All 8 regions will each get their own episode, with it working backwards in a way. The most recently revealed region, Galar, will feature in the September 9th, 2021 episode, followed by Pokemon Sun and Moon's Alola on September 23rd. Things will wrap up with Pokemon Gold and Silver's Johto on December 16th, 2021, and Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow Kanto on December 23rd, 2021. They have a full list. The one set so they're gonna do one set in Unova in October, and then they don't have one airing in November, and then the Sinnoh one will air at the beginning of December. For some, so people can get their hands on, get a refresher on Diamond and Pearl with the remakes, and then they can see that.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And they have a trailer. If that animation looks familiar, it's because OLM is very familiar with Pokemon anime series and films. It started with the original Pokemon series in 1997 and Pokemon the first movie in 1998. Since then, it's worked on multiple series and films based on the games. Its most recent one was Pokemon the movie Secrets of the Jungle, though it also worked on other shows and games like Cardfight Vanguard, Yokai Watch, Zoids Wild, and the upcoming anime adaptation of Komi Can't Communicate. They also worked on the 1997 Berserk anime, I believe.
Huh. Yeah, they did.
I really liked... Pokemon Generations was okay. I really liked Pokemon Origins.
They still do the Pokemon anime. They are the main animators for the...
Yeah, they still do the Pokemon... Yeah. And Twilight Wings. They didn't do Twilight Wings, but Twilight Wings was really good.
Yeah. They also did Inazuma 11, I'm seeing.
Yeah. They do a lot of kid-focused anime, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it pays the bills.
And Berserk. the first anime of Berserk. All right, next up we have recommended content. Content other than news from the past week listed out. Links in the description. We have What Are the Best 16-Bit RPGs Ever by Siliconera staff for Siliconera. The Trials and Tribulations of Localizing Sega's Lost Judgement by Imran Khan for Fanbyte. Interview discussing Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Sprites and Designs by Jenni Lada for Siliconera. Interview Fuga Melodies of Steel's director discusses its Innocent Heroes by Joel Couture for Siliconera, and that's it. And if you're like, oh, that's a lot of Siliconera stuff, I did not find a lot of Japan game related features and op-eds this week.
That's Errol's sly way of telling the other games media to step up.
No, I know. Everybody's prepping for the September releases. I'm sure we'll have plenty in the next week or so with the Sonic Colors report and Tales of Arise and whatnot.
There's also Tokyo Game Show coming up. So
yes, we will talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. Next is time for the news rundown. And we have 3 pieces of bad-ish news today. So I'll let our bearer of bad news and Shinigami take it away.
Bankai. So, speaking of Yakuza and Judgement, first up we have China's NetEase in talks to hire creator of Sega Yakuza series. This is by Takashi Mochizuki and Zheping Wang for Bloomberg. I think this is Bloomberg Technology. So NetEase Inc. is in final negotiations to poach Yakuza franchise creator Toshihiro Nagoshi from Sega, a sign of how Chinese games companies are expanding beyond their home turf during a government-led crackdown. The hire from Sega Sammy Holdings Inc. would mark the biggest coup in a contest between NetEase and close rival Tencent Holding Limited to scoop up video game talent and assets in Japan, made more urgent by slowing growth and regulatory pressure at home. Nagoshi, who developed and helms one of Sega's most successful action series, is expected to set up his own team and create new games. People familiar with the matter said. He hasn't signed a final contract and his duties have yet to be finalized, they said, asking not to be identified, discussing a private deal. So, yeah, this kind of rocked the world of video games. Well, the Ryoga Gotoku fandom, at least. Because, much like with Metal Gear and, let's say, who's another author? BioShock, for example. We kind of ascribe Yakuza its character, its specialness, and its mass appeal to Nagoshi's work as the creator and overall helmer of that series. So losing him, well, naturally that leads to the fear that the series will probably not do as well and not as well anymore because he's the heart and soul of the series. What are we going to do without him? And that's kind of not recognizing that a lot of people work on the series, like probably doing additional writing or writing quests, who do the actual production with development, making assets, whatnot.
Right.
So yeah,
and I'm sure there are plans in place for like a replacement or somebody who can step up.
So he was
to that position.
He was moving up to a more managerial role in Sega Sammy lately, which he kind of found restricting because he wanted to be more involved in the day-to-day things of the games he was working on. So maybe going to NetEase offers him that option, but I also imagine Sega must be kind of figuring out how to keep him aboard, because that's definitely gonna feel like a massive brain drain if he leaves. But like as I said, there are other people working on the series, so I'm sure it'll be in good hands. Like Sakaguchi left Square Enix, and we still have Final Fantasy games. If they're up to the same quality, that's debatable, but
yeah. I think will be fine. Like some people are like, oh, he's gonna go make mobile games. People forget, like NetEase, they have a studio in China now that's supposed to be focused on AAA games.
Yeah, it's not even
studio in Tokyo. That's what I said, right? Studio. I said Tokyo, right?
I think you said China, but you meant Tokyo.
Oh, in Tokyo, in Tokyo, which is in Japan. I meant.
Yeah, it's fine.
I meant because there's like this the anti. There's the anti-Chinese company sentiment, and it's like, well, it's not like no, they have a studio in Japan,
and it's not even as complicated as people try to make it out to be. Like Tencent and NetEase are already injecting large amounts of money into companies we already know and love. Like Tencent is, I think, I want to say majority stakeholder for Riot Games, and they also have a minority stake in Epic Games, and so these companies are.
That's why a lot of people don't use Epic for that reason.
Whatever.
Or a number of people, not a lot, but I know people.
Look, if you're afraid the Chinese government is spying on you, I have some bad news for you. Every government is spying on you, so You'll be fine, maybe, but
Even yours?
probably. So
Especially.
I mean, knowing the local politics and how incompetent some of them are, I'm like, sure, let them try.
They're trying.
They won't be able to do much, but okay. Yeah. So I say don't worry about this. Like, original creators leave properties all the time, and properties can still flourish with new people at the helm. And at a certain point, he was going to step down and say, like, let the new people take over, let them create new stuff, and we'll be fine. And should this spell the end for the Yakuza series, maybe the resources go into a new series. Maybe the Youngblood have other ideas that they want to explore. We'll be fine. You'll be fine. Next up is Tekken 7, Soul Calibur 6, and Pac-Man 99 producer Motohiro Okubo leaves Bandai Namco. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. It's been a while, but I will leave Bandai Namco Entertainment on August 31st, Okubo said in the tweet. From tomorrow, I will be working at a game company located in Shibuya. Okubo did not specify which game company in Shibuya he would be working at, but did express his gratitude to Bandai Namco and the fans that supported him. He continued, 25 years ago, I joined the former Namco and met various people. I am grateful to all the people I met, especially through Soul Calibur 6. I received enormous power from players all over the world. Thank you very much. I'd like to show the various goods I received from everyone, but there are too many. Allow me to show my 9 million units cushion, which I received last week from the development team of Tekken and Soul Calibur. Once again, thank you, and thank you. So, yeah, that's not too bad. I'm sure he'll land on his feet.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Metal Gear Solid 5 online servers will shut down on PS3 and Xbox 360. This is by Jenni Lada for Siliconera. Metal Gear Online and Mother Base will be closing on two platforms as Konami announced Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, PS3 and Xbox 360 online servers will shut down in 2022. To be exact, the multiplayer modes will go offline on May 31st, 2022. Ahead of that, the company offered a schedule explaining when certain multiplayer and online elements will stop being available. First, today was the last day for the system that would let you purchase things. Konami shuttered it on August 31st, 2021, so that will be the day before yesterday. If people still have money available or want to get a few more things, they will have until November 30th, 2021 to buy Metal Gear Online related DLC. On March 1st, 2022, Konami will stop distributing these elements. Finally, everything that uses the online servers in Metal Gear Solid The Phantom Pain will stop working on the PS3 and Xbox 360 on May 31st, 2022. Too bad for those few people that were still playing on PS3 and 360, but if need be, migrate on Xbox One, PS4, or PC. And you know, there's always Metal Gear Survive if you're very desperate. Please don't be that desperate, yeah. But if you are. So yeah, that was the baddish news.
Yeah, so in other news we have the Wonderful 101 Remaster DLC, The Prince Vorkin, now available. This is by Saramano for Gamatsu. Platinum Games has released the Wonderful 101 Remaster downloadable content, The Prince Vorkin, for 99 cents. Here is an overview via Steam page. New downloadable content makes a grand entrance into the Wonderful 101 Remastered. Install the Prince Vorkin downloadable content to unlock a new mode that lets you change the main player character to Prince Vorkin Ogi, heir to the throne of the Comet Rulo, and leader of the star-spanning Gaizik space pirates. As Prince Vorkin, the Multi-Unite ability is replaced with Enemy Unite, which summons the host of Unify Monster Alien Beast. The Prince Vorkin also works with the free Time Attack DLC. Use Prince Vorkin's Enemy Unite to carve out a new path and perhaps a faster time. Players can switch freely between normal mode and Prince Vorkin mode after installing Prince Vorkin DLC. So yeah, this was what they announced during their anniversary, something they announced during their anniversary stream.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of people thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I still need to finish it at some point, and the controls were just very weird.
It's kind of surprising that the game is still being supported, really. Like, we all expected it would be a one and done deal. Like, yeah, it's great to see them still adding new stuff to it. Okay, next up we have Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters get first PC patch addressing Windows settings and other issues. This is by Adam Vitali for
not the font.
For RPG side. Square Enix has today released the first PC patch for the recently released first three entries of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series. Most notably, this patch addresses some of the more obviously tedious issues in the remaster, such as the game resetting window display settings every time it is launched. Oof. The patch also states to mitigate some of the screen tearing issues, although with the focus being on windowed mode for now. Perhaps most importantly, Square Enix states more updates are planned in the future to address further stability and speed. Maybe Square Enix can also address the game's default English font so players don't have to resort to modifying it. This is very interesting. So
it is a quick fix, but still.
Yeah, I get it. But this is the first PC patch with more promised down the road, which leads me to believe that either A, the fonts are not a high concern for Square Enix, or B, their team is smaller than we probably think they really are. So yeah,
changing the font is not a hard thing to do, though.
No, but
at least from
maybe for them
modifying it, at least
maybe for them in quality assurance, it led to problems, and they didn't feel confident enough to implement it from the start.
See, the weirdest thing about this is, so the Japanese version has a slightly better font than the English version, and you can do a thing where you, in the settings, where you switch the font language with the so the Japanese font will be in English, and then you'll get a better font. It's still not a great font, but it's better than the default.
No, I get it.
So it's like, why did they?
But
if they had that already there?
As I was saying, it could be that during their QA testing, it wasn't working as properly as they would have hoped, and maybe that's why they didn't implement it. It could also be that because it was pandemic times, they didn't have enough resources to implement it in a speedy manner, or build it into the game in a with them confidently saying, hey, it works perfectly, you're not going to worry about anything, you're going to be happy. So lots to consider. There's no official word from Square Enix on why they haven't done it, so I don't think it'd be too wise to think them incompetent when the inverse could also be true. So yeah. Next up, Final Fantasy 13 debuted on Xbox Game Pass tomorrow. This is by Jenni Lada for Siliconera.
It's out now.
Yeah, it's out now. I was going to say that. Microsoft and Square Enix continued to make good on the November 2019 XO19 promise to add Final Fantasy games to Xbox Game Pass. Rather than all appearing immediately, they've gradually rolled out in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Another entry will show up on the service on September 2nd, 2021. That is when Final Fantasy 13 will make its debut on Xbox Game Pass for both consoles and PC. Final Fantasy 13 was the first PS3 entry in the series and follows Lightning and a group of L'Cie chosen by the Anime Falsi. Okay. To accomplish a mission. This gets them branded as traitors and pursued by the governing force of Cocoon, the floating home of everyone that is above the planet Grand Pulse. It's known for its linearity and for inspiring 2 sequels that finish its story. So, yeah. There you go. Final Fantasy 13. And I've seen on Twitter, Wario64 tweeted it out, I think that this is more or less a high-res port.
Well, the PC Game Pass version.
Also the
I don't think
the Xbox version. Because
really?
The cutscenes are in a higher resolution. So it is
okay.
Slightly updated. It's not like a heavy reworking of content or systems, but yeah, it looks a bit nicer. Are you gonna be playing it?
Yeah, eventually. I have it on Steam, but apparently the Steam version doesn't run that well, and I prefer to play that game on my TV anyway.
Well, there you go.
I mean, yeah.
Next up, PlayStation Now to add 1 Final Fantasy game per month for 5 months starting September 7th. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. PlayStation Now will add 5 Final Fantasy games over the course of the next 5 months, Sony Interactive Entertainment announced. Full lineup would be Final Fantasy VII on September 7th, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered on October 5th, Final Fantasy IX on November 2nd, and Final Fantasy X-10-2 HD Remastered on December 7th. With Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age rounding off the collection on January 4th, 2022. So, you have options. You don't have to switch over to Xbox with their Game Pass to play for Final Fantasy games, but hey, you do you. Next up, Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend coming to iOS and Android on September 22nd. And PC on October 2nd. October 21st. This is by Salroman for Komatsu. Collection of Saga. Final Fantasy Legend, which first launched for Switch in December 2020, is coming to iOS via the App Store and Android via Google Play on September 22nd, followed by PC via Steam on October 21st, publisher Square Enix announced. Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend includes ports of the Final Fantasy Legend Makai Toshi Saga in Japan. I think it translates to Demon City, if I'm not mistaken. Final Fantasy Legend 2 Saga 2 Hiho Densetsu, and Final Fantasy Legend 3 Saga 3 Jiku no Hasha. You can click on the article for a full breakdown and for a couple of trailers. Is it still on your to play list?
Yeah, especially because isn't it coming to Steam too? Yeah, it's coming to PC. Yeah. So that might. I'm gonna wait on it, but yeah, it'll be on the wish list for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we mentioned it, but Bravely Default also recently launched on Steam, and currently has
Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, Bravely Default 2, and has a.
Didn't we mention it last week?
Did we? I feel.
Yeah, I thought we did. Or that it was coming out. Yeah.
Anyway, it's available now, and it has a slight discount for 10%. So, if that floats your boat.
There's also an EDF sale. Okay, anyways. Next up, Digimon Survive rated in Australia. This actually comes from the RPG site Twitter. Digimon Survive was rated by the Australian Classifications Ratings Board today, August 27th. Author is listed as Witchcraft, with publisher Bandai Namco. So it should be coming next year then.
Or maybe a surprise release by this year's end.
By the end of the year? Possibly, but didn't they delay it to 2022?
Well, not officially.
Or was it too indefinite?
Not officially.
Well, it's something,
It's
as one of the comments here says. It's something.
I mean, it's still on its way, so yeah.
It's not canceled. If it's getting a rating, that means it's not canceled, probably.
Exactly. Next up, Death Stranding sequel possibly in negotiations. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. In an interview with Brazilian media outlet Adoro Cinema, Norman Reedus revealed that a Death Stranding sequel is currently in negotiations. However, outside of mentioning that negotiations for a Death Stranding sequel are currently underway, little else has been revealed. Additionally, an article from IGN Brazil reveals that it is currently unknown whether or not Reedus could have been potentially referencing Death Stranding Director's Cut. Shout out to Adorodo Cinema and IGN Brazil. Adoro Cinema is a sister site with IGN Brazil, and this information was revealed through an interview with Reedus about The Walking Dead. The interview ends with Reedus talking about Death Stranding, in which he revealed that negotiations were currently underway. So yeah, could be something, could be nothing. Time will tell. Although I am surprised if Kojima goes for a sequel rather than experimenting more with singular,
like a completely different thing.
Yeah, but then again, it could be him wanting to polish what he started with the first Death Stranding.
Right.
But we'll see.
Like I have Death Stranding, and I remember playing it a little bit and not really liking it, but I still have it, and the director's cut stuff does make me more interested.
Now,
so when that comes out, I'll probably try it.
Did you not like it because you were kind of playing it like a straight action game instead of?
It's been a while, so I can't really remember that much about why I didn't like it.
Okay.
But again, I'm willing to give it another shot once it has the PS5 director's cut version is out.
Gotcha.
Next up, Mr. Driller Drill Land coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on November 4th in Japan and Asia. Currently available on GameCube, Switch, and PC. This is by Sarumono for Gamatsu once again. Bandai Namco will release Mr. Driller Drill Land for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on November 4th in Japan and Asia, the company announced. Pre-orders are now available via PlayStation Store, Japan, Hong Kong, etc., and Microsoft Store. PlayStation Store pre-orders include the set of 6 avatars featuring Susumu Hori, Pucci, Anna Hottenmeier, Ataru Hori and Usagi, Taizo Hori, and Hollinger Z. Mr. Driller Drill Land first launched for the GameCube in December 2002, followed by Switch via Nintendo eShop and PC via Steam in June 2020. So, I wonder if maybe we'll see these releases this happen worldwide as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Could be a game that could come to Game Pass if it gets getting an Xbox One version.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the possibility is high.
It's a real fun game. And maybe we can get a brand new Mr. Driller one day.
Fingers crossed. I mean, you've been on a hot streak with wishing for things, so...
Yeah. Next up is Tokyo Game Show 2021 schedule and lineup. This is by Marcus Stewart for Game Informer. The 2021 Tokyo Game Show kicks off on Thursday, September 30th. Like many in-person conventions have done over the last year and a half, the event will be an entirely digital affair and will feature 44 programs live streamed over the course of 4 days. Presentations from Xbox, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Capcom, Konami, MiHoYo, and more will be live streamed nearly every hour. You can visit the event's website for full descriptions of each event, but here's the rundown of what will be shown and when. Companies that haven't yet revealed the nature of their presentation are labeled as undecided. Keep in mind that the times listed are Japan local, kicking off in the morning and running into the evening, and I believe for us in the US that's a 16-hour difference. I always say with my like we always say, oh, it's like in Japan. What time is it in Japan? And we'll be like, we always joke, it's tomorrow.
I mean, basically, yes. They're the first to see the sun, so.
So this is all Japanese Standard Time. I'm not gonna do the conversions. I thought I could find a list with the conversions, but I couldn't.
You can Google it.
So on September 30th, they have the TGS online opening. At 11, they have Keynote. We'll always have games. Oh no, at 10. September 30th at 10 Japan Standard Time, they have the opening. 11, they have the Keynote. We'll always have games. 12 is Gamera Game Now Tokyo Game Show 2021 special. 1 is SNK King of Fighters 15 special program in English, apparently. At 4 is SK Telecom Game Show. 5 is Team Madness Games It's Mealtime presentation. What? 6 p.m. Japan time. So probably either late at night or early in the morning, North American time. Microsoft Xbox live stream. Then at 7 Japan Standard Time, we have Konami new information to reveal for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, along with updates across the key titles. At 8, they have the Spike Chunsoft special. 9, D3 Publisher live broadcast. That might be EDF 6. 10 is the Capcom online presentation, and 11 is Izanagi Games Yurukyo special. On October 1st, at 10, they have TGS official program undecided. 11, Sense of Wonder Night 2021. At 4, they have NTT Esports, which is undecided. 5, Happy Net Game Showcase. At 6, 505 Games upcoming titles. At 7, Square Enix presents. Do not expect Final Fantasy 16 here. Do not expect it.
I mean, people are still going to expect it.
That's what they said. Then at 8, we have Bandai Namco, which is undecided. At 9, we have Level 5, undecided. Probably going to show a little bit more of
that mech game?
What's it called? Megaton Musashi? Yeah. Because I think it might be out. I can't remember. It might be out by then. I don't know what else they even have to show. So, possibly more of that Ni no Kuni mobile game. Even though that's also they work with another developer for that. And then at 10, there's the Sega Atlas showcase. And then October 2nd, at 9, they have another TGS official program. 10, Happy Net once again. At 12, Tencent Games. At 12:30, Japan Game Awards 2021. I haven't heard of some of these. I'm not going to list everything. At 4, Gung Ho Online Entertainment, so they do Ninjala. At 6, Japan Game Awards 2021 Games of the Year division. At 8, Koei Tecmo special program. Probably going to see a little more of maybe Monster Rancher. And obviously some Musou stuff. At 10 is Konami Tokimeki Memorial Girls Side 4th Heart Stage first gameplay reveal. I don't know what that. At 11 is DMM Games.
I mean,
and then October 3rd, the final game. What is it?
The Memorial game is like a dating sim, if I'm not mistaken. Like Tim Rogers has, I think, a 4-hour long video on YouTube about it. It's wild and I highly recommend it.
Okay. Well, on October 3rd, the final day, we got the program at 10. At 12, there's the Japan Electronics College is doing a presentation. At 1 is Arc System Works. And also the Japan Game Awards 2021 again, I guess. At 3 is 110 Industries. Feature presentation of new AAA products currently in development. 4 is NCSoft Special Program. 5 is Gung Ho Online Entertainment once again. 6 is Ubisoft. 7 is AK Racing Presents. 8 is Right Flyer Studios. 9 is MiHoYo Genshin Impact TGS 2021 program. 10 is Finger with 2 G's. It just says Finger. It doesn't say what, it just says Finger. And then 11 is Grand Saga, and 12 is TGS 2021 online ending. So, additionally, the Tokyo Music Fest concert will take place October 2nd and 3rd and will feature orchestral performances of songs from games such as Sonic, Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy, Tales, and more. You can learn how to watch by visiting the official site. Oh, that could be fun. Well, obviously, I don't know if I don't think we'll do reactions just because the timing is so weird. I have to convert the times to see if I can.
Yeah.
Also, so maybe not. We'll see. We will keep you updated. Next up, the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania DLC character Hello Kitty announced. This is once again by Saruman for Gamatsu. Sega has announced Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania downloadable content character Hello Kitty. She will launch on October 5th for $4.99. I'm sure Sega has done a Hello Kitty game at some point.
I want to say yes.
So like that's not too surprising. But the next character they announced, which they announced just today, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania DLC character Suezo from Monster Rancher announced. The giant yellow eyeball thing. This is once again by Saruman for Gamatsu. Sega has announced Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania downloadable content character Suezo from Koei Tecmo's Monster Rancher series. He will launch on October 5th for $4.99. And he collects, you know how like the special characters, instead of having bananas, they have like different things they collect?
Yeah.
He collects CDs because it's Monster Rancher.
That's very on point.
But yeah,
so,
I guess
with the
and this isn't a Sega game. That's not a Monster Rancher. It's by Koei Tecmo. It's not by Sega.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like with the remaster coming in and getting a Western release, and also the special DLC, are they probably trying to gauge interest for a new Monster Rancher game?
That's what I'm hoping. A lot of people, I've seen a couple of people on Twitter mention like Monster Rancher randomly, not knowing about the re-releases, and I was like, oh well, good thing. Like somebody today was like, oh, I want a new why don't they make a new Monster Rancher? And I'm like, well, hopefully they're leading to that. And I sent them the link, and they're like, oh, I had no idea about this.
Yeah, most people probably
are not talking about it, and they should be talking about it. Okay.
The Monster Hunter Tamer Collector Pope has spoken.
Pope? I don't know about that.
I mean, aren't you spreading the monster gospel at this point?
Yeah, but I don't have. You think my knowledge of monster taming and mon games is vast? You should see some of the people I know. They'll talk about some Japanese Game Boy game that I've never heard of, that nobody, like that very few people in Japan have even heard of. Then I'll be like, what?
I don't know if I should be scared or surprised.
A little both. Next up, Gundam Game 35th Anniversary website open. Gundam video games celebrate 35 years. This is once again by Saruman for Gamatsu. Bandai Namco has launched the Gundam Game 35th Anniversary website. The website contains a full history of every Gundam video game ever released. From Mobile Suit Z Gundam Hot Scramble for Famicom in August 1986 to Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme vs. Max Boost On for PlayStation 4 in March 2021. As part of the website launch, Bandai Namco announced digital sales for its Gundam games for PS4 and Switch, in-game commemorative campaigns, and a @GundamG game follow and tweet campaign to win a Gundam Game 35th Anniversary polo shirt and eco bag. More information concerning the Gundam Game 35th Anniversary will be announced soon. So hopefully we get more Gundam games.
Yeah.
I mean, we were always going to get more Gundam games.
I mean,
but
we're getting that kind. What was it called again? The
Super Robot Wars?
No, the Overwatch-esque Gundam game. like arena shooter.
Yeah, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but yeah, there is that.
Oh well. Next up, we have PlayStation Showcase 2021 set for September 9th. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Sony Interactive Entertainment will host PlayStation Showcase 2021 on September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific Time or 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the company announced. You will be able to watch it on PlayStation.com, YouTube in English or Japanese, Twitch, and Facebook. The 40-minute broadcast will feature a look into the future of PS5, including updates from PlayStation Studios and some of the industry's most imaginative developers for games releasing this holiday and beyond. A post-show will feature updates from some of the studio teams featured in the showcase. Now, I don't know if you follow Andy Robinson from VGC.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let me look it up real quick. He said, where is it? Okay. He tweeted, "I've been told there are some super announcements in this." And for those of you who aren't British, that means you might want to keep your eyes peeled on some pretty nifty
I don't know, man. I'm not
announcements.
getting my hopes up too much yet.
Well, let's okay, I won't stoke the flames too much. I'll be excited for the both of us. Because,
I mean, I'm excited to see what they have, but I'm not going to say, like, oh, they're definitely going to show this.
Oh,
or
no,
I hope they show that.
I'm not being specific. I'm just saying that they will have.
Oh, okay.
They will have some surprises that will please people.
There will be games.
There will be games. I mean, that's the very least I can promise. But yeah, it's exciting times. And you know, we also have a rumored September Nintendo Direct coming. So
yeah, that'll be interesting because I don't know what they're gonna focus on that. Like, are they gonna focus on 2022 games at that point?
Well, fall and winter are still upcoming, and we don't know all that much besides Metroid Dread and Pokemon in January.
WarioWare, Advance Wars Remake.
Yeah.
We know quite a few things, actually.
I mean, like specific release dates or like smaller releases to fill in the gaps between the bigger releases. We'll see. It's exciting times.
Sure. Speaking of exciting, Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 launches in summer 2022. Development report video. New footage showcased at Bit Summit, the 8th bit. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Once again, Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 will launch for Switch in summer 2022. Developer Inti Creates announced. Read more about the game here. Watch the new 8-minute development report video below. Recorded in August at the Level 5 Concept Conference Room in Osaka. But not just that. Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger X2 announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Once again by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Indie Creates has announced Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger X for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam. It will launch on January 27, 2022 for $24.99. A physical edition published by Inti Creates will also be available for PS4 and Switch in Japan. Priced at 3,980 yen for the standard edition and 9,980 yen for the limited edition. All physical copies will include the special downloadable content boss Kohaku Otori from Kogen Sword of Rewind. Pre-orders include an A4 size clear file with exclusive art of Lola by illustrator Yoshitaka Hatakeyama. The limited edition includes a strategy guide, Lola vocal CD, and music video clip DVD. A physical edition for North America and Europe has yet to be determined, but Inti Creates stressed that it is working with its publishing partners to release a physical edition in the West as close to the digital release date as possible. And there's a bunch of different details. I'm not going to go over it. Go check that out.
They also announced the next entry in the series for Japan. I think it was already announced, so this might be an update. Are you still interested in playing these games?
Wait, for X2?
Not X2.
Or
what comes after X2?
X3?
I don't know if it's X.
Or was there?
Let me look it up.
I didn't see anything about that. I only saw Gunvolt 3 and X2.
Yeah, wait. Let me look it up. Yeah, so Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 release date. Yeah, that one. So Striker.
I just said that.
Did you?
I was just talking about that. Yes.
Okay.
I talked about that right before X2.
I missed it then.
Well, we're canceling the podcast now.
Wow, that's all it took?
Kidding. No.
Okay. Next up, we have eFootball 2022 launches September 30th. This is by Sal Romano Furgamatu. eFootball 2022 will launch for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam and Microsoft Store as a free-to-play title on September 30th, Konami announced. Additionally, the mobile version of eFootball PES 2021 will be updated to eFootball 2022 this fall. You can click on the article for like a full breakdown. I'm excited for this. This is promising because a lot of critics have rightfully commented that a yearly release or a yearly entry of FIFA is not really warranted if the changes are minimal. Especially in the Switch's case, where they just rebrand last year's edition as this year's edition, which is a very heinous thing to do, I think. And couple that with the other free-to-play soccer game that's upcoming, UFL, if I'm not mistaken. And you have like a pretty sizable challenge against FIFA's throne, and will it be enough to change our mind on what a football game can be?
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how microtransaction heavy.
Sure, but if the core experience is fun enough, then I think it would be a good step towards the future, because I think Konami is switching to this model because they probably can't compete with FIFA sales pound for pound, and this is just them trying another approach, and hopefully it pans out. I definitely think it will, or I certainly hope it will, but yeah, time will tell.
Next up, Ninjala's the last news story before we get to the main topic. Ninjala's latest crossover welcomes virtual superstar Hatsune Miku. This is by Ryan Craddock for Nintendo Life. Gung Ho Online Entertainment has announced that Hatsune Miku, global star of the virtual world, will soon be coming to Ninjala. She arrives in-game as part of her Magical Mirai 2021 tour, as revealed in Ninjala's latest dev diary, which you can watch above. The event begins on 6 October and will run for an entire month, bringing music, outfits, and more as detailed below. 6 outfits, several pieces of background music, new emotes, 3 Utsutseme, 3 Ippon decorations, 2 ninja gums, 8 stickers, and 2 costumes. And it has a look at some of the outfits that look like Hatsune Miku. On top of this, it's also been revealed that Ninjala will host a Goemon Matsuri event at the same time, and eager players can jump into a one-day Meiji Petite Gum Cup on 26 September for a chance to win some special commemorative Ippon decorations. Once again, don't sleep on Ninjala.
Are you still playing it then?
Every once in a while, once in a blue moon.
How is it
That's a lot more than other people.
How is it playing now? Do you see any significant
fine.
changes, or is it more?
No, except for everybody's better than me.
And how does it run being on Switch, like the online service and all?
Runs fine.
Huh.
It's run fine.
Huh.
I mean, remember, it's Switch exclusive.
Well, there is that.
It's not on any. Yeah. Okay, so our main topic is, well, not the title of this article, but, so, PEGI, so I'll just read the main part of the story. PEGI, which serves as the video game content rating system across Europe, has updated its criteria regarding gambling in games. The change means that any games which encourage or teach gambling will now be instantly classified as PEGI 18. You'll no doubt have spotted PEGI content descriptors on your favorite games, if you're in Europe. Bad language, discrimination, drugs, fears, gambling, sex, violence, and more recently, in-game purchases can all be noted on the game's box or store page, along with an age rating between 3 and 18 to match the content included. Over time, these descriptors are reviewed, and while the game containing gambling could previously get away with being a PEGI 12 or PEGI 16, it will now always automatically be a PEGI 18. The VSC Game Rating Board explains the change. In 2020, the PEGI criteria were changed so that, in future, any games featuring moving images that teach and or glamorize the use of games of chance that are played / carried out as a traditional means of gambling will be rated PEGI 18. This refers to types of betting or gambling for money that is normally played or carried out in casinos, gambling halls, or racetracks. It does not cover games where betting or gambling is simply part of the general storyline. The game must actually teach the player how to gamble or bet and or glamorize gambling. For example, this will include games that teach the player how to play card games that are usually played for money or how to play the odds in horse racing. As noted by Ask About Games, one Switch title affected by the rule change is Overboard, a murder mystery text adventure that includes mild violence, suggestive themes, and the use of alcohol. Content that would usually give the game a PEGI 12 rating. However, thanks to a scene where the player can enjoy a game of blackjack, the rating is up to PEGI 18, with the lower age indicators being removed in favor of the highest level simulated gambling warning. Interestingly, the rule change means that were Nintendo or any publisher for that matter to remake some of its older titles and release them again in today's climate, they'd also certainly see a significant age rating bump. This is not true. There is an update. A representative from PEGI has now provided further clarification on the updated rules regarding gambling in games, explaining that older titles would only be upgraded to 18 plus if they were re-released with changes, technically making it a new game. You can find the full explanation underneath our original story below. Update PEGI. Okay. Here's the further clarification. If an older game that is PEGI 12 for simulated gambling would be re-released, it would retain its age rating, provided that it is not an upgraded, modernized, reinterpreted, or reshuffled version of the older game. It must be identical in content. Otherwise, it must be treated as a new game, at which point the current criteria apply. Historical rating are maintained as long as the game is put on the market again in the same form. When we implemented the criterion change in the first part of 2020, we made the conscious decision not to apply the changes retroactively. We wanted to avoid that the exact same game could be found in a shop for two different consoles with two different age ratings. But ports enhanced ports could get a PEGI 18. Still?
If the content is left untouched, then yes. Like if the Pokemon games still had like a casino featured in them, then yes.
And they had like but what if you just, even if you're adding like, say it's a port with like very minimal changes, I don't know, a fast forward option for turn based.
If the casino is still intact, then yes.
This is just weird.
I mean,
I get what they're trying to do, but the way they did it is kind of odd.
Look, it's more of a blanket application of the rule than them using it as a a measuring stick for what's good or what's bad in a video game.
Right.
And
a lot of people were joking like, well, I guess there's not going to be any more Dragon Quest in Europe because there's always some kind of casino area.
Yeah, and it's
almost always.
It's also due to the industry's lack of action with regards to loot boxes. So if you want to point fingers at the industry for not doing anything. Like
right.
The whole Overwatch, FIFA Ultimate Team thing was raging a few years back, and they basically sat on their hands. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't prey on children or adults who have, let's say, a lower threshold for gambling, and expect to get away with it too. Like, something's got to give, and unfortunately, if it means Pokemon games not being eligible for sale, then yeah, that's the consequences of it. And either the gaming industry steps up and says, yes, this is something we're going to tackle, or yeah, you're going to report your soul. It's I'm not too broken up about it, excuse me. And I think Nintendo is also smart enough to modify their games where they see fit. Also, why do you need a gambling den in a children's game? It's you'd be fine without it. So yeah. My 8-year-old cousin does not need to know the basics of poker.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's whatever.
But I guess that doesn't count as gambling because that's part of the mechanics, and that doesn't have to do with money. No, I'm thinking of Pocket Card Jockey. And it does have to do with horse racing. But you're not betting money. You are the racer.
The implication is that horse racing is connected to gambling. So maybe not the best example of this situation.
I don't know. If you have a 3DS, you should play Pocket Card Jockey. It still has a demo. It's a good, very overlooked game. You play solitaire and race horses, and you also breed horses. Also, it's by Game Freak.
Yeah, there you go.
But this is I just think it's so fascinating. Because I'm like, I wonder if there's going to be stuff like that happening in other regions, or if this is the start of other regions starting to do stuff like that.
I don't think so, because if you look,
or if we'll see more to the story.
There will probably be more to the story, because this heavily impacts how companies can do business in European territories, and Europe is a big territory. Don't mistake it for anything less. And will other areas follow suit? Probably not, because every region has pretty segmented themselves. Like Mortal Kombat is playable in the US and Western regions, while it's not in Australia. So it's going to be something that's going to vary from country to country, region to region. People in the West probably have nothing to worry about until the politicians wise up and recognize how much of an influence video games are on daily lives and crack down on it. So for now, they're going to keep doing what they do. And until someone like PEGI steps up. The
ESRB? Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, the ESA would have to do it, but...
The ESA? Yeah, I don't know about that.
They're kind of... I might be wrong, but they kind of act like a lobbying group. So they're not really... Well, it feels like they're not really in it for the best interest of the children, quote unquote. So...
Somebody think of the children.
I mean, that's not to diminish the role the ESRB plays in rating video games, but a lot of balls have been dropped. So yeah, it's tough, but if this is how it's gotta be, this is how it's gotta be. Now, would you be bummed if Pokemon would not be able to be sold to you, or?
I mean, yeah, but if
like, is it?
Because like if people are making enhanced ports, and they weren't allowed to, if it still has the other stuff, if it's considered a new game, even though they didn't change that many they didn't really add the features they added were very minuscule, but it still has to count as a new game. But then they can't really support. It's like, and then on the other hand, you can get an enhanced port, but it will be with content removed, so it will be incomplete, which is not great for game preservation.
I mean, isn't good for game preservation if a gambling side activity is removed? I feel like...
No, I mean, just it's good to have a game intact. But
sure, but we also need to recognize how games affect us and how they might also negatively affect us.
I think they took intact. Because I remember in Let's Go, I think the Game Corner had arcade machines instead of slot machines. And then I've heard that the Diamond and Pearl remakes do not have the Game Corner anymore.
Yes, that is true.
Which is unfortunate because it had really random like house music. Like,
I mean, it could still be a Game Corner with house music, just not games featuring any gambling elements.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the Diamond and Pearl ones had.
So I think you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
If they keep the music track, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that ultimately this will lead to game makers reevaluating where their priorities lie and what they can do to make content the best it can be. And yeah, I don't see that much of a downside to this, unless well, you can go buy a gachapon, and that's kind of like gambling, or you can buy trading card packs, and that's kind of like gambling because you're not always guaranteed like this super rare aluminum foil card, which is also like gambling. So I feel like people also have to be consistent with the rules they're using to regulate. Just don't just throw it on games because you fear video games for corrupting children's minds. Like be consistent in your policies. So yeah, I don't anticipate it being a big deal for the ESRB, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see what happens with that. Just thought it was a very interesting story that I didn't hear that many people talking about this week.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting story.
But I think that's going to be it. We don't really have any listener questions or submissions. Really got to highlight that more. Remember, you can send your listener questions or just submissions you have, stories about Japanese games you enjoyed, stuff like that, or any questions about the past week's news on Japan related games and stuff like that. You can send them you can add us on the podcast Twitter page at infromjapan, or you can send them to infromjapan@gmail.com. But yeah, any final thoughts?
Final final thoughts. It has been relatively quiet in game spaces, apart from certain discourse. But I'm looking forward to what's coming up in the coming weeks.
It's the calm before the storm for us.
Yeah. I mean, it gives me plenty of time to catch up on anime and manga.
Like, our colleagues who play more Western-focused games are already in the storm. The storm already started for them. For us, we still got like a week and a half.
Well, that'll be fine. Probably when Tales of Arise comes out, that's when I'll be the busiest. But we'll see. But yeah, in the meantime, I've had the chance to catch up on some manga and anime. I highly recommend Dan Da Dan on the Shonen Jump app or the Manga Plus app for international audiences. Fina the Pirate Princess is on Crunchyroll.
Did I talk last week about finishing Yu-Gi-Oh! R? Did I mention that last week?
Don't think so. I think you were still going through it, not that you finished it.
Okay, so I finished Yu-Gi-Oh! R. Mm-hmm. What an interesting spin-off series. Takes place after Battle City, before Millennium World. And it has to do with the Wicked Gods. So, the Wicked Eraser, the Wicked Dreadroot, and the Wicked Avatar, who are like the evil versions of the Egyptian god cards. And they're used by Pegasus's adopted son, because apparently Pegasus adopted like 12 kids.
Did you notice any major differences from how the final arc in the
one or two duels they didn't conveyed, like a couple
in comparison to
a couple duels there was no anime ever made of Yu-Gi-Oh! R, but a couple duels they just kind of start and then you don't see how they end. It just Yugi or Joey just move forward. Like, and that was at the beginning. Later on, they actually show like the whole duels, but the duels go a lot faster than they would in the normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga.
Okay.
Which is interesting. And then they actually did. They kind of. I think by the end they kind of made it a joke because like they're like, yeah, we know we made them too fat, because the first duel that Yugi does when he's trying to get in a tower to save Taya or Anzu, whichever name you prefer, it doesn't show the whole thing, and then it's just like, oh, that, like I had to like, wait, did I skip a couple pages? Like, no, I just skipped it. But then later on, when they're like rushing to the top of the tower, Yugi's like, all right, it's time to, like, Yugi's like angry, and he's like, I'm gonna beat anybody who challenges me in a duel, and he's like, and somebody's like, oh, it's time for you to face me, and he goes, get out of the way, and then the duel starts, and then literally next panel is like, Cypher the Sky Dragon, and he defeats the person. We don't know how that duel went besides that, we just know he won. He could pass. But it was also I can't spoil who the main villain actually is, because it's a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist, but it's not the original character Yako, who is the adopted son of one of the adopted children of Pegasus, and he was teaching them all how to duel, I guess. Because that's what you do when you live in a castle on an island. You adopt a bunch of orphans, so you can have a I guess probably so you could have a next of kin, since his wife died, or girlfriend, or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. Also, Kaiju number 8 is still very good. I highly recommend it. Oh. Okay. I was gonna I almost like just stopped, because I'm like, oh, I think it's time to. I think we should leave it here. Because, because we're ending it anyway.
Let's not tempt fate. Okay, so this is where we're ending the episode. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, get vaccinated if you can.
Get vaccinated if you can. Wash your hands. Take a shower.
Wash your butt.
Put on some deodorant. I don't know.
Wash your feet because you don't want to wash below your knees for some reason. What is wrong with you people?
What?
It's a Twitter thing.
What was that?
Don't ask. Don't ask. Anyway,
I don't. Yeah, I probably don't want to know.
Thank
Read
you.
manga, watch anime, play video games.
Yeah.
Play Ninjala. It's free.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been Erroll. This has been Jason, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Mata ne.